All right, welcome everybody to the first episode of NatiCast, your weekly source for Bengals information and basically anything around the NFL. My guest host here is the Cat, aka.
What's up? Welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
No problem, no problem. So the first thing I want to get into just right off the bat is because it's been a crazy off season. It's not even crazy. It's just we have a coaching change.
Yeah,
First time in it seems like since I've been a Bengals fan. Obviously, that's not the truth, but I guess he's been a part of the only memorable parts of being a Bengals fan since I've been alive.
yeah. I go back to the Sam White days. As you can tell, I'm a little seasoned, but but
Oh no, I'm with you. I'm just oh yeah, you go back. How old are you?
38.
30. Okay, you're not that much older. Okay, well that's what. Yeah, I go back. It just the '90s was a black hole,
Yeah.
so I try to forget about that. I hope
People,
we're not
we,
going back.
we have a lot of coaches that people forget about, like Dave Shula.
Oh yeah, wasn't he selling meat not too long ago? I'm pretty sure he was a meat salesman there for a while. I think he actually owns a restaurant now, but I'm
Yeah, no, but that's the thing with Marvin. Like, I'm glad he's gone, but at the same time, I appreciate that he left us better than when he found us.
oh for sure,
You know
for
what I
sure.
mean? So it's like, okay, we still are not where we should be with the talent we have, but we're not a 3-13 team. We're better than that.
Well, that's one thing that I always argue with a lot of people is a lot of people say we didn't get a playoff win. I guess my viewpoint on that is a lot different than most people's. It might be the same as yours actually. But everybody always criticized Marvin for not getting us that playoff win, but um, I mean we had what
We
was it
have
12 straight losing seasons or it was 11 straight losing seasons before he took over.
right.
Um, and he changed the culture. He brought us into the new age NFL. Like we were living in we were living in another dimension or something.
Before 2005, when Carson Palmer got us to the first round of playoffs against the Steelers, we haven't been back since, or we haven't been back before then until '89. So
Exactly. 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 And I mean, I mean, it's just a comedy show, really, when you talk about the '90s. We
yeah.
had Achilles Smith, Klingler, Kajana Carter. You
Oh
know
my
what we could have
god.
done with Kajana Carter? The Saints offered us their whole draft class,
Oh my
and
goodness.
we turned it down. So I mean, he brought us in, and the first year we went 8-8. Um, and that in itself, I remember. I'm sure you remember the first year, the Kansas City Chiefs game. They were 9-0, I believe, and we gave them their first loss. I don't think I've ever been that excited as a
Yeah.
Bengals fan.
Yeah, well, I was didn't John Kitna throw the touchdown pass to Peter Warwick,
Yeah, oh yeah, it was like a 70-yard.
like tip pass,
Yeah, it was a crazy play at the end of the game, and that was basically what sealed the win. Or actually,
right?
I think Rudy Johnson. I think the next drive, like I think he sealed the win. But yeah, Peter Warwick is basically what put us ahead. It was a crazy long pass, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and that's when I think we all knew that we finally maybe had an NFL team again, something that we could possibly compete.
Well, we
Um,
was always strong at one position, and when we were strong at both, we couldn't put them together. Like when we had Carson and Corey Dillon, and Hush and T and Chad Johnson, and we couldn't put it together.
but even the names that you're just saying right then just tell you um, what Marvin Lewis brought to the franchise. When you
Oh,
say those names, Carson Palmer, uh, Hushmanzada, I mean, those just bring back good memories.
you got Hush in the seventh
Um,
round.
exactly. Well, I think I'm not even going to go into that stat, but I seen a stat about Chad Johnson and Hushmanzada just the other day. They were like the second best, I think, wide receiver tandem maybe ever in college or something
Oh,
like that.
at Oregon State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't want to mess the stat up, so I'm just going to leave it alone because I can't remember exactly what it was. But they were really good teammates. But yeah, I mean, you pretty much bring up. I mean, we had a couple down years, but even like the Carson Palmer, um, the Chad Johnson, the To experiment. even though we sucked, it was still sort of a fun year because I mean they were just two big personalities.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Well, it's kind of like what the people everyone's raving. I don't want to go. I'm not getting trying to get off topic, but what's going on in Cleveland? People say, "Oh, Jarvis Landry got his best friend in Odell Beckham, so everything's going. They're going to, Chad and Tio were like best friends, and they couldn't do shit together.
oh yeah, the Tiocho show.
The
They had
Tio
their own
shows,
TV.
yeah, yeah.
They
I
had their
watched
own
on
TV show.
VH1.
Exactly,
I
and
wa-
and that was one of our worst. It was fun. I mean, I'll
yeah,
give it that. It was fun, but we sucked.
basically
And
Tio fighting with his girlfriend the whole time. Like,
but I want to get into that. Actually, I want to get into that a little bit later. Speaking of the Browns, um, I want to get into that a little bit because it sounds like maybe you haven't, maybe the same take on them as me. I'm not as hyped up, but we'll get into that in a little bit.
all right.
Um, so, so basically, if so, you think Marvin Lewis's tenure was is it going to be remembered as a good thing or a bad thing? You think?
I think it has to be remembered as a good thing, But you've never had a coach. He's the second longest tenured coach in history behind Belichick. And so what that says is everybody underneath him who was there for 12, 13, like Jeff Fisher with the Oilers, you know what I mean, all the way to the Titans. And your time comes up and people stop hearing you. So
That's.
I
Oh,
think
go ahead.
Marvin.
I'm sorry.
I think if I had to grade Marvin's tenure, I'd give him a C plus.
A C plus. What do you think? Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, actually, I'd probably give him like a B or a B plus.
Okay.
Just because of the circumstances. Like I always argue that I think he would have won a Super Bowl if he would have been with another team. Um,
Probably if you had a different GM and somebody else rather to spend some money.
exactly. So I feel like he had to. Not only was he like playing against other NFL teams, he had to. Fight against Mike Brown. He was going against all odds to try to put a successful unit out there.
The enemy
Um,
within.
and just the craziest things happen. Like it just seems like it wasn't meant to be. Like in 2005, like I'll argue all day that we had a Super Bowl caliber team until
It's just
Carson Palmer got because we had Hoosh Manzada. He was shining his shoes with the
Chris
terrible
Henry.
towel.
Yeah, Chris Henry. We had Chris Henry was doing his thing, and he caught the longest pass in Bengals playoff history off of the first play.
Oh yeah.
And then Kimo Van Ohoffen from the Pittsburgh Assassins took his knee out. That's
I'll never forget that play. I will never forget that play
mm-mm.
for the rest of my life. That was, and I think we could have won it all. That I mean, we had an exciting. A lot of people forget that we had Odell Thurman. I mean, we
He was
wouldn't even
good.
have this Vontez Bierficht experiment, or it's not even an experiment. We wouldn't have. I don't think we would have, risked signing Vontez if uh, Odell would have worked out. Even though that was a long time ago, but I mean, he was one of the most exciting rookies we had ever had, and people forget
Yeah,
about that. Not only him, but David Pollock. He broke
broke
his
his neck.
neck.
Yeah,
Um, just a lot of freak things that happened to prevent us from getting to where we wanted to go. Andy Dalton in 2015. It's like anytime that it seemed like we actually had a team that could possibly win a Super Bowl.
well, we would have had the playoff game won but two people messed it up, and I'll stick by this till people say, "Oh, it wasn't Adam Jones and Vontez Burfict's penalties." Yeah, it was. I mean,
See, I
AJ McCarron had that game.
well he definitely. I mean, well what Vontez he ran into the locker room celebrating just a little too early. It was supposed to be in the bag.
The Pac-Man had to push the Steelers coach and all this. I was like, come on.
But then that's the thing is it, it just seemed like I don't care what anybody says. I don't like blaming refs. I hate blaming refs. It's
Right.
like the for losing. But it just it kind of just goes with the flow of how things are for Bengals fans. I mean, we had who was the coach that grabbed Reggie Nelson's hair? That same game, he grabbed
Oh,
Reggie Nelson by his dreadlocks. Was it
yeah.
Munchak?
Yeah. That's right.
No penalty was called on that. You
No,
have Joey Porter come out onto the field,
right.
actually makes contact with our player, and no matter how you feel, I think coaches probably should be held to a higher standard than players. Like I mean,
Well,
whether you agree with.
there's bad blood there, anyways. You remember back when we had Willie Anderson, Joey Porter was accused of robbing
Well,
him in Vegas.
no, Levi Jones.
I was Levi Jones. Okay.
Yeah, they jumped him. They jumped him in the. They jumped him in a casino. They have. There's a. I should have pulled up some video. Or I should pull up some video, but yeah, they jumped him in a casino. So yeah, there's definitely bad, and it's like they got away with a lot of shit. And I still will fight. I will argue with everybody to this day that hit on Antonio Brown shouldn't have been a flag. I don't think he did it intentionally.
He just has a bad rep, man.
It wasn't helmet to helmet. He didn't launch. Exactly. Let's get into that actually, since we're talking about it. Vontaze Burfict, Bengals just released him today, apparently after trying to trade him. And like you said, he's got a reputation. Do you think that he's going to play again?
Yeah, honestly, I think he'll sign on with someone, but whether or not he'll play is up in the air. I mean, he's just the guy has like he has a tendency to either get hurt, or get in trouble, or he's just inconsistent. So whether somebody will take a chance on him, but not at a high price.
Well, that's what I was. I was actually talking earlier with one of my Bengals friends, and I don't know if it's even smart to sign him. What I think happened with him is the NFL basically put him and the team that he plays for in a position to where it's almost impossible to employ him because he. What I think happened is I think the NFL should have just kicked him out of the NFL after the Panthers game, with the Cam Newton, the twisting of the ankles, and was it Greg Olsen twisted his ankles, and I think that's I really think that's the only dirty thing that he's done since he in the ball tap. You can say the ball tap. I think that was more funny than anything. I don't think that was dirty at all.
He's had a couple questionable and it's usually against the Pittsburgh, like Le'Veon Bell. He took his knee out.
But I don't think he did that. He might have got up and celebrated. He might have known what happened, but I don't think he did it intentionally.
I don't know, man. I hate to turn on my brother. You know what I mean?
I feel it. Oh, trust me, you're being nicer than most people. Like I go on all these message boards, and everybody hates Vontaze. I don't hate him as much as most people. Like I said, I think that he messed up when the Carolina Panthers game, and I think the NFL messed up. I don't think it's solely on Vontaze Burfict. Like I think they wanted him out of the NFL, but I think maybe they thought it was too extreme to kick him out after that. And because if every other time that he's been suspended outside of this, see now here I'm the steroids, which is obviously an idiot thing, but out like the hit on the Kansas City Chiefs fullback in the preseason, do you think that deserved a suspension? What did he get? 6 games for that hit in Kansas City in a preseason game?
Vontaze was like the ugly duckling, you know what I mean? He just didn't fit in. No matter what, but he had chances to change his persona, the people's perception of him.
Well,
and every time he does something stupid.
Well, that's the thing is I don't know if he does stuff like. I don't know. I'm torn with him. Just like I said, it just seems like anytime, after that Carolina Panthers incident, anytime that he hit anybody, it didn't matter. Like you just knew there was going to be a flag, whether it was dirty or not. And it just got to the point where I think maybe he's afraid to play football now.
Well, he's a loose cannon, and he's undisciplined.
He's definitely he plays emotional, and he plays with reckless abandon, and he can't play that way anymore because they're out. They're out to get him. He's got like you said, he's got a target on his back.
Well, the same thing with the Dominican Sue. He used to be they're like, oh, he's the dirtiest player in the game. And, he took a 1-year deal with the Rams, changed his perception. Now he got $13 million last year. I don't know about you, but I don't have $13 million. And sometimes I got a really bad attitude.
Oh, I mean,
I don't get paid for it.
What did he do? He stomped on someone's face mask, didn't he? Well, he's done a bunch of things.
Like I think Aaron Rodgers, was it?
Yeah, I think that was one of the most egregious ones.
He kicked somebody else in the balls. Like this guy's he was throwing people around, late hits. And then he was on a reality show when he was doing a diving contest,
Oh, he was
diving with
on
the
a reality
stars.
show.
Yeah, it's called Diving with the Stars.
Oh, I never saw. I have to check. I'll have to see
That
if I
was
can look that
yeah,
up.
look that up. That was years ago. There was like Latoya Jackson and Dominican Sue and someone else. They were doing they teach them how to do diving board tricks. Yeah, it's really stupid.
That's what's. He said that's really stupid. Um, but I guess the one thing I'll remember about Vontez Burfict, just because I do have to give him, no matter how much of a knucklehead he was, or whether he was right or wrong, whatever. In his prime, at his peak, he was one of the best linebackers in the NFL, and he was one of the only defensive players in the NFL that could single-handedly change a game around. Like I remember the Browns game, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I think we were down like 17-0. Within a real short time, he had made like three huge plays, and I think we were ahead. Within just like 4 or 5 minutes, we were up. And the Pittsburgh game, he basically willed us back into that game, the playoff game that we ended up losing, of course. But it just goes to show, like, he was one of the only players that could single-handedly just change the complexion of a game by in a short period of time, just by making huge impact plays. Like I said, he sacked Ben Roethlisberger. I think he messed his shoulder up.
Yeah.
Then he picked the ball off. I mean, at the end of the day, he was a great linebacker, and it sucks to see him go out this way.
Well, I mean, it's either go out this way or just he's not even going out. He just got cut today.
Well, yeah, I didn't mean go out that. I just meant it sucks to see his career end the way it did on such he didn't even play the last 2 years. I don't even remember him
on his Bengals career.
Yeah, just it kind of sucks he went out the way he did. I wish he could have finished off on a strong note or something. It just his last 2 years were all 2-3 years were all concussions, injuries, and suspensions.
Yeah, he's had like 5 concussions, like 5 or 6.
Yeah, that's another thing to think about. Maybe that had more of an impact than we realize, because it seemed like every time he would hit somebody hard. That's just the thing. He laid it all out on the line, and
Yeah.
I appreciate his time there. But I guess it's time to move on. And speaking of moving on, it is a new day in Cincinnati. As we talked earlier, they made a coaching change. Zach Taylor is our new head coach. What do you think?
You
It was
know,
the right move.
I do. I think it's there's a youth movement going on at NFL head coaches, and there's success behind it. But now you got this young coach. We gonna give is Mike Brown going to give him enough rope to get the job done, or enough rope just to hang himself?
And
You know what I mean? So it's not the coaching, because if Marvin Lewis would have been more successful if he would have had more control.
I think I can agree with that. That's why I think Marvin Lewis. I think Marvin Lewis isn't. I don't want to keep going on to Marvin Lewis because he's not our coach anymore. But I think he'll eventually get a new job coaching, and I think he'll be successful elsewhere. I think he may get a front office job where he'll be successful. He's a great football guy.
He's on the NFL Network.
Yeah, he's. I don't think he's done with football yet, though. I think he's gonna actively get back into it somehow. Because I really think he wanted to win a Super Bowl. I think, no matter what people said, whatever, I think he really, really wanted to win a Super Bowl. That was important to him. So I think maybe in a year or two we might see him pop back up.
That's the same thing we thought about. What's the old Pittsburgh coach before Tomlin?
Oh, LeBeau.
No,
Not LeBeau. What am I talking? Bill Cowher.
Bill
LeBeau
Cowher
was their defensive.
Everyone thought Bill Cowher was like going to come back and do something, and he's like, "Look, I'm cool being retired." He just does the Sunday shows, and I mean, I thought Bill Cowher for sure was going to come back.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. Well, and I mean, he's got that cushy CBS once a week gig. Once you get on there, you're set. Well, if you can keep the job, I guess.
Yeah.
It seems like they moved through Shannon Sharp, Deion Sanders. They've moved through a lot of guys.
They definitely rotate people, but Boomer Esiason, I love Boomer Esiason still. I hate Chris Collinsworth. Chris Collinsworth, if you're watching this, fuck you. I don't like you. Don't
See,
edit that.
I have a problem. Like, I don't. I like them, but I don't, and I understand where they piss me off because I'm emotional. Like I'm sure, just like you, like when they start talking mad crap during the games or not
Yeah,
giving us any pride, it hurts. But I don't know. I guess we've kind of earned it. But at the end of the day, it's Who Day for life, right?
absolutely.
Once you-
All day. You're supposed to, yeah. It was
but
like,
Boomer's way better. I'll agree with you. Boomer is way better than Chris Collinsworth on repping the Bengals.
yeah.
But when we're good, Chris Collinsworth does give us our props. It just, I guess he's not as enthusiastic about it as Boomer.
Well, he's mentioned it in other games how much he hated in Cincinnati.
Well, and yeah, he'll bring out like how cheap. Yeah, yeah, but um, I guess you gotta. Well, but yeah, whatever. He makes me. I don't like. I mean, I don't even really like the Sunday night football. Do they even do Sunday night football anymore?
Yeah.
What am I thinking of?
They do, yeah, Sunday, Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night. Pretty soon
Uh,
we'll have NFL on freaking Wednesdays.
they should. I think they should have it. I think they should have it 7 days a week.
Just
For I
just
don't.
up the schedule.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I don't know. It just it'd be too hard to figure out like to match them up so teams got equal rest if they had a game every week, or every day of the week. I would watch. It just I love NFL football. I'm
I
sure
do
you do
too.
too.
Absolutely.
That's why like I hear some people saying that Thursday night football is overkill. We need to get rid of it. It's
Mm-mm.
like no way, no
It's
no
like
way.
it's like an appetizer to the weekend.
Once football season starts, this is how my week goes. It's Monday, and then like Tuesday, it's like oh man, how many days until Thursday? And then Thursday's here. It's like, all right, how many
well,
days until Sunday?
well, you play fantasy football.
Oh, for sure.
So Tuesday and Wednesday, it's just, set your squad, set your teams, making trades. So it's always football, football, football. And if not even that, then playing Madden. You know what I mean?
What's that? Well, um,
I played Madden this morning.
I haven't played. I haven't played the new Madden. I played it. I played it like once or twice. I want to start playing. You don't play on Xbox anymore.
No.
Um,
Rather,
I just can't. I hate not being good, and you have to play. You have to play so much, and I don't have time to just to sit on there and play and be good enough as I want to be. And I hate losing, so
I,
it's it's a terrible situation.
I
But
do remember that about you. You do hate losing.
oh, it's terrible. That's why I don't like. I started playing that 2K and I got into it, and then it's like and then I get on there and I play, and I'll take a break and I play, and then I'll suck and I get beat, and it's just like Call of Duty. Well, all the games
Yeah.
you have to play all the time. Well, you stream, which I'll let you give that information at the end. Skinny Sean is a live streamer. He streams himself playing video games, which is really cool. I've just gotten into. I don't do it, but I watch it. It's pretty cool, like the retro games.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of fun. But as far as, like, the team that we have now, it's just question marks because it's leftovers. But at the same time, can you win with somebody else's team? So the Zach Taylor, people, Bengals fans are hungry for a big season.
Oh,
And if we don't get it right away, we're also, oh, that guy sucks. So I hope he gets a fair shot. I hope we have success in the first year. He gets a fair shot. And
well, if we're talking about Bengals fan bases, we're gonna get back on topic here. We gotta get back to Zach Taylor because I mean he's the new head man on campus.
yeah,
But what you were talking about the fan base, I just want to make a comment. I don't know what it is about Ohio, or maybe it's just wherever you live, but I swear Cincinnati has like the dumbest fan base, and I think everybody says this. And it's not everybody. Obviously, I don't think that you're a dumb fan, but it's like you. It just we've had like a ton of success, but then like people will still say that we suck. Like we had 5 straight winning seasons where we made the playoffs, and people were still complaining. But anyways, I don't want to. I don't want to bash the fan base, guys. I love
no,
like it's like a brotherhood. I see anybody wearing it. I love Bengals fans, but at the same
yeah.
time, they piss me off as well.
Well, there's 3 levels to Bengals fans. You know what I mean? The ones who are just happy just to be there. You know what I mean? And then you got the ones who have a level of success that they want them to maintain. And when you let them down, they get really angry. And then there's the ones who no matter what the hell they do, they're just horrible. They're like, we won. They're like, yeah, we could have won by 12.
Exactly.
You
We look like crap, but it's a win's a win. It doesn't matter about how much you win by. But yeah, there's like and then there's the homers that we're gonna be. I'll probably fall more into this category. I'm like the glass half full guy, the homer who's always drinking the Kool-Aid. We're gonna be good no matter what. I always get so optimistic.
yeah.
So that's probably why I hate the negative Bengal fans, even though it's probably a reality in some cases because I'm
Well,
always super optimistic.
that's the thing. I posted something about Andy Dalton. I said, maybe the change needs to go down the list: coach, quarterback, personnel. And man, people are like, if you don't like Andy Dalton, then you can just go like another team. I'm like, like if it was if it was that
it's not
easy,
that serious.
yeah, relax.
It's like I can have an opinion. Everybody's allowed to have an opinion, and like that's the thing is Andy Dalton's probably like in the NFL. He probably has like the biggest spectrum of like I guess you would say fans and then haters. Like some people think that he absolutely sucks, and then some people think that he's like the greatest thing ever if you gave him the weapons, and it's everybody else's fault. And I don't think there's really any other quarterback that you can talk to a fan base, and some people will say the quarterback's the reason that we suck, and then some people will say that he's the reason that we've won what we've won. So it's Andy Dalton's just like I don't know. I think
we have a history of
that because he's the definition of average.
Yeah,
like he literally is the most average quarterback.
Well, I was just talking to somebody yesterday. I was comparing him to like Jake Plummer.
Snake.
Jake the Snake Plummer, Drew Bledsoe, people who were really, really good but didn't win anything.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, and he probably even had more success than Jake the Snake, just for the simple fact that I think Jake the Snake, I remember him going to the playoffs, I think once with the Cardinals. Did he make it with the Broncos? I can't remember.
No.
Yeah, Andy Dalton that's one move that I wish we would have made, but since we didn't, I've kind of accepted it. I kind of wish we would have made a quarterback change this offseason just because I don't know. Let's just move on.
We come from a long line of inconsistent quarterbacks. All the way, after Boomer, we drafted people. Jeff Blake was inconsistent. John Kitna was inconsistent. Then we hired bums like Scott Mitchell. You know what I mean? and then Carson Palmer was inconsistent because he was good, then he was unhappy with the Bengals, then he started sucking. Then we traded him. So we're hungry, we're dying, we're fighting, we're screaming for consistency. And that's where I love Joe Mixon. I think Joe Mixon is a great player. I think Andy Dalton's a good player, but there's something's not working.
Well, like since you bring up Joe Mixon, well, that's I guess that's a reason or a point that makes the reason that I'm not too upset that we kept Andy Dalton this year. I want to see him at least 1 year, I guess, with the new coach, the new coaching staff, because Joe Mixon, like you said, he is a really good running back. In my opinion, I think he'll eventually be a top 3, 4 type. I think he has the skill set, and that's what bothers me. Like if you watch the first, I don't remember exactly how many games it was, but it seemed like the first couple games we didn't get him going. You'll watch Le'Veon Bell and you watch Todd Gurley, and you'll see him like like Ben Roethlisberger will be scrambling around, then he'll just dump it off to Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
And then Le'Veon Bell makes things happen. He gets a first down on a third down that he probably shouldn't have made, just on an improvised play. And I think with a new offensive coordinator, maybe an offensive-minded or head coach and a new offensive coordinator, even though Zach Taylor will basically be the offensive coordinator and calling plays, I just kind of want to see a new set of eyes, new instructions, to see if we can be that kind offense, because it really is a big bonus to have a back like Joe Mixon that can catch, that
Yeah,
can run, that you're not tipping your hand on first and like depending on, because that's how it always had been previous to having Joe Mixon. We would always tip our hand by what running back was in. You
yeah,
pretty much knew if we were going to run or if we were going to pass, and that's a huge advantage to a defense if
right.
you pretty much know what they're going to do. Yeah, I'm just excited to see if maybe, and then if Andy Dalton, if he's average, then maybe next year we can get rid of him and see what we can do.
Well, hopefully they design a package around Joe Mixon, and for the offense. If you build around your best player, I feel like he's one of the best players on offense.
Oh, for sure.
Build a package around him. That's why the first couple of weeks you said, Joe Mixon didn't show up. It wasn't him. They had no, it was a pass first, and it was like, this ain't working. We got to spread open this offense. Start giving him packages, and he would just make something out of nothing over and over and over again.
Well, it's just one of the things I didn't like about the Marvin Lewis tenure. Like I said, I was mostly positive about it. I don't think that we tailored our offense or our defense to fit the players. I think we tried to make our players fit like our scheme.
Exactly.
And I think that's kind of one of the problems. Like if you remember right, and this doesn't really have anything to do with that, but if you remember Joe Mixon's rookie year, I mean, it would be Jeremy Hill would start the game. Joe Mixon might get a carry or two before halftime. He would get like 6 touches, and then at the end of the game, like he would even show flashes, and then he wouldn't even play. And I just didn't like the player management, and so I guess that's one of the main things I'm excited about is having an offensive minded coach, because we've had a defensive minded conservative, run the ball, play good defense, have a chance to win the game at the end of the game, and now we have an offensive minded coach, and I'm just kind of excited to see what that brings.
Well, we had good years with like with the Jay Gruden was the coordinator. And then, why couldn't I think of this guy's name? He's horrible. With the Cleveland coach.
Oh, Hugh Jackson?
Hugh Jackson, yes. Well, I don't know why I could not think of Hugh Jackson. Maybe it's because I on purposely left him out of my mind. But we brought him back in the middle of the season. What was the point of that? Like, it's just terrible decisions. It was time to move on for coaches for sure.
Well, I think the Steelers game of this season, I think that is when it was over. I think that's when like the message got lost. I think it was at that point in time. It was just kind of like, we got to, because we were up 28-7 or something crazy, and we ended up losing the game, or was it 20? I forget the exact score, but we were up. We had a commanding lead. We should have won the game, and then we ended up losing. At the end of the game on was it a slant to Antonio Brown for a touchdown? And I think that was when, because Vontez was going into the locker room and he's like, "What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing, expecting a different result." And I think you're right. We need a new guy in there giving a new message. I don't think the players were trusting the plan anymore.
Well, it's instead of saying, "Hey, like you said, you're following my game plan." You're not game planning around the talents that you have.
Yeah. Well, and Marvin Lewis was just so conservative. Like if we got just that Pittsburgh game, for example, like we get a lead and then we just play conservative.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do that in the NFL because no lead is safe. No lead is safe in the NFL unless you're playing us with a backup quarterback or you know what I mean, Blake Bortles, or no lead is safe in the NFL. But anyways, let's talk about so far what we've done. So far this year, we've added Tyler Eifert. We didn't add him; we re-signed him. Gave him it was a 1-year prove-it deal, right?
1-year prove-it deal,
which is good. Obviously for obvious reasons.
Who also has health concerns, you know what I mean? But the difference between him and Vontez is that you get a sense from Tyler Eifert that he was bothered, that he was hurt. Like he was really, like he was on Instagram saying, I want to get back 100%. I never, Vontez gets hurt. He's just like, eh.
Well, and he doesn't cost us penalties.
Right.
He doesn't get suspended. I mean, typically when he's out, it's just because he's hurt, which is terrible. Which this last injury was kind of a freak accident.
Oh, man, it was nasty.
Yeah, it was. Well, man, and in that dislocated, I feel so bad for him. He's had some of the nastiest injuries. That dislocated elbow was really nasty too
Yeah, it
against
was
the
nasty.
Ravens.
Yeah,
And then obviously, yeah, the ankle. Oh man. Um, yeah, we kept him. We signed guard John Miller from the Bills.
that's not bad.
I think that's a huge upgrade. Anybody over Alex Redmond.
Yeah,
Anybody over Alex Redmond. We signed B.W. Webb, cornerback from
also
the
pretty good.
Giants.
All right, that's also a
And
pretty good pickup.
I think he was an addition too to help maybe teach the defense. Or I mean, he's obviously been in the system, or I'm assuming he has somewhat of a knowledge of the type of system that Lou's going to want to run. And yeah, he had a. I mean, he was almost what I think him and Darquez Denard were pretty similar in their PFF grades last year, within a
Yeah,
couple points of each other. We re-signed Preston Brown to a 3-year deal.
I like that one.
You like Preston Brown?
Anything linebacker is not that's not Vontez. I like. You know what I mean? I was telling you earlier. I said, I hope we get, a veteran like Clay Matthews, somebody to get in there and really take control of the offense, defense. But Preston Brown's good when he was on. He's fast. He's tough. He's mean, and he's like a disciplined, skilled player.
Well, and if you remember right, the first game against the Colts, I believe he had that. It was at the first drive or the second drive. He had that interception. I think that was the first or second drive, but yeah, he seems to be a really solid player, and I think they said that he's going to lose some weight, get down to 240.
Well, he also came from Buffalo.
Yeah,
We love poaching Buffalo's players apparently in the last couple of years.
well, yeah, and it seems like they signed a couple of our players last offseason. Yeah, it seems like we got a little love fest. Well, ever since that the game we knocked the Ravens out of the playoffs and the Bills got in,
Right.
it seems to be a Buffalo Cincinnati love fest. But yeah, Preston Brown, like he said, he's going to lose. I think what does he usually play at 255, 260. I think he said he's going to get down to 240. So that should help him with the speed. Maybe help him stay a little bit more healthy. Even though he's been pretty healthy all the way up until this past season.
Yeah.
Also, we kept CJ Uzama. Am I missing anybody else? I know we made a couple, like we tendered a couple guys, like Redmond. I think we're keeping him.
Yeah.
But I'm not worried about them. I hope that he never sees the field.
She said, "I hope he never sees the field."
Alex Redmond, I hope not.
Jesus.
He was so terrible last year.
Yeah.
I really think that I argue with a couple of my Bengals friends about him and Bobby Hart. I think that he's the reason that Bobby Hart was so bad. I don't think Bobby Hart is as bad as what everybody was trying to make him out to be.
Right.
I just think that there's a lot of film that I watch because after every game, I always recorded the games and then I would go back and watch them. And I would typically just pay attention, like some games I would just pay attention to offensive line and just watch that every play.
Right.
And it just seemed like he was because PFF's a great tool, but I don't think that they always know everybody's responsibility at all times. I mean, obviously, there's no way to tell what everybody's responsibility was, but there was just a couple games where I watched, and there was a couple grades that I was like, I don't know how that they gave him that grade when I seen Alex Redmond was responsible for like 3 of those sacks, and I don't know how you would say that Bobby Hart was responsible for that, but that's just my take. I don't think he's as bad as what everybody else thinks, and hopefully he can prove me right. And he's young; he's got time to improve. What do you think about our offensive line?
I think our offensive line. I was happy with the. I'm forgetting names all day. I am terrible. With the offensive line that we got last year from Buffalo, we moved up in the draft.
Cordy Glenn.
Cordy Glenn. That I thought that was going to be a great. He did okay. First of all, the guy is a monster. You see them next to Geno Atkins.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, Cordy. I think he's probably outside of Tupua or however you say his name. Outside of him, I think Cordy Glenn was probably our biggest player. He's just a mountain of a man.
Yeah.
But I don't think he did too bad. I think he did pretty good. He was hurt there for a little bit, but the main thing is he was a huge improvement over Obuehi.
Oh yes. Oh
Um,
yes.
I'm
Uh,
not sure that we've ever had a worse offensive lineman.
I mean that. Well, no, I was never a big Levi Jones fan because we picked him 10th overall.
But he had a pretty good run though. I mean,
I mean, he had a
he had
pretty
a
good run, but he would have had a good run if he was a third rounder,
well.
a fourth rounder. But 10th overall,
They definitely. I mean, it was a. I think it ended up being an okay pick
if you
after it
take
was all said and done.
if you
We
take the
definitely reached.
if you take the first round of that draft and you have it on paper, you look at the people who went behind him, and you got like Hall of Famers who went like after Levi Jones. Then you be like, oh well, maybe that wasn't the right pick.
For sure, but him and Willie did hold it down there.
Oh,
Them fun, them
Willie's an
fun,
icon.
those fun years from like '05 to what '08, '09. Or no, '09 was a terrible year for offense. we we had one of the most boring offenses that year. But yeah, I mean, I definitely, like I said, in his career, he got hurt. I believe didn't Levi get hurt at the end of his career and cut it shorter than what it should have been.
I know.
Um,
I'm not too sure about that, but I just know that Levi Jones. I don't know. I just never was crazy about him. It's like I was never crazy about Michael Basnight, the old guy from the '90s.
Michael Bass that's an old one. That's an old one. That's
I, it's very weird that I would hate my own players, but yeah, like Michael Basnight. Every time I remember one time, real quick, Michael Basnight was in the backfield. They were doing the cadence. He fell forward and went face first into the ground right before he caught hike.
I think I remember what you're talking about.
I was like, I hated that guy ever since. Like, what are you doing?
Oh, for sure. There's definitely players like that. For me, for example, like I hate Alex Redmond.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Oh
that's what.
boy, he.
Yeah,
Um, Jake Fisher was another turd here recently. Actually, they said that he's switching to tight end, which is I don't. Maybe they should have tried that while he was here because he obviously wasn't a capable tackle.
no.
Um,
He was supposed to be. He had all the hype because he played behind Mariota. So they
well,
thought,
and if it makes sense because do you remember the? I think we completed a pass to him his rookie year.
yeah,
So maybe we should have looked into it maybe a little more. Maybe because, like I said, he obviously wasn't cut the mustard as an offensive tackle. That's a draft that really hurts us. The draft that we took, Obuehi and Jake Fisher, really set us back. When
hmm
your first and second round draft picks don't do anything, that's a setback.
that is.
I mean, just like we were talking about earlier, Odell Thurman and David Pollock, that's a setback. That's a so, but hopefully we can get it taken care of. Hopefully this John Miller signing, hopefully he solidifies the right guard position, or even just plays average, which it
Oh,
looks like they were talking about. If you remember right, when Rex Ryan was coach of the Bills, um, he was arguably a Pro Bowl player. So hopefully we got a young guy with a lot of upside, and hopefully we can help him reach that potential.
well, I hope we have a draft similar to the Brian Simmons to Keo Spikes draft. Like when we get some badass impact players right off the jump.
That's what I actually uh, in one of the mocks I do on one of the boards I'm on, I actually was hoping that we draft Devin White
LSU.
and Devin Bush from Michigan in the first and second rounds, um, because they both run like what Devin White won a four. They both run like 4.4s,
Yeah.
which would because I don't ever want to see Hardy Nickerson. I don't ever want to see Hardy Nickerson on a Cincinnati football field again. Um, our linebackers have just been so bad. Even Montez Burfict, he was an undrafted free agent.
Yeah,
We
even the
really
supplemental draft.
we haven't drafted anybody. We haven't drafted linebackers. We haven't taken any linebackers high in forever.
Mhm.
Since Keith Rivers, I believe, is the last time we used a high pick on a linebacker.
For a few years there, we were on the defensive backfield. You know, we got like I think it was Dre first, then Darquez, and then William Jackson. Like 1, 2, 3, like back to back years.
And then don't forget Jonathan Joseph, Leon Hall.
Johnson Joseph, Leon Hall out of Michigan, which Johnson Joseph still playing for the Texans.
Oh yeah, and I think Leon Hall was. He might have retired this year, but actually I think he's still playing too, which is
Is it?
surprising because I think he shredded both Achilles. Um, but he was. I mean, he was a good solid player. I wish we would have kept Jonathan Joseph over Leon Hall though.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
mean, obviously Jonathan Joseph was there for a minute, one of the best corners in the NFL. Uh, but yeah, I think that might even be a possibility. They're saying this year is we go corner again in the first round. I don't want us to, but I don't think you can ever rule it out. Being a Bengals fan,
We got
um,
Jesse Bates last year. That was a good pick.
he definitely was definitely a good pick. Um, best safety in the draft, I would say,
Mhm.
outside of uh,
What's the guy from the Chargers?
yeah, that's who I can't remember his name. Um,
I'm drawing a
yeah,
blank.
me too. I can't remember. Moving on.
Moving on.
Everybody knows who we're talking about.
Right.
Um, yeah, he was definitely a good pickup, and then you got William Jackson. That's actually why I wish that we would get rid of Dre. Um, I like him. He's not a bad player, but I wish that we would re-sign. Oh, I just bumped my uh, computer there. I wish we would re-sign Darquez Denard, and I wish we would get rid of Dre, and
Really?
give Darquez a chance to work on the boundaries. Because if you remember right, he was a really good press, outside, physical cover, corner, man to man. When he played at Michigan State, he was one of the best.
Yeah.
That's what he did. He
Him,
never played slot.
him and Trey Waynes.
Oh yeah, and they were the no-fly zone. I mean, it was one of the best
Hmm.
secondaries in the country. But and that's one of the problems that I had with Marvin Lewis is he didn't always put the best player. And I think Darquez is a better cornerback. And then it would fit more of what. Well, I don't really know exactly what Lou was wanting to do, but I think previously it would have fit more of what we did defensively if you had William Jackson and Darquez on the outside playing press man, because it leaves you if you have two guys that can actually cover man to man, you can do a lot of things on defense. It frees
Yeah.
up a lot of guys. Um, and I don't think Dre's that guy that can just. I don't think he can shut anybody down. I just don't think
He gets burnt a
that's
lot.
a lot. And he's not as bad as what some people say, but then he's not as. I just don't think that he's worth 10. He's making like 10 million a year. I don't think that he's worth 10 million a year.
You really give that money
Um,
to Darquez?
I just and youth is I think Darquez is a little bit younger. I think he's a little bit because if you remember right, I believe that Dre coming out of college was more of a cover two corner. If I'm not, I could be 100% wrong, but if I remember right, I'm pretty sure he was more of like a press cover two corner.
Okay.
Um, and I just feel like if you have two guys that can press and play man like Darquez and William Jackson, like I said, it gives your defense way more flexibility. Um, but we'll see what happens. Do you want us to bring back Darquez or
I'll take him back. You know what I mean? He wasn't a bum. You
for
know,
sure?
he was a hustler. I actually met him.
Did you? Where did you meet him at?
I meet him at the preseason game afterwards. He was starting autographs, so I got his autograph.
Okay, he seems like is he a nice guy?
Yeah, I said, good luck at the season. He said, thank you so much. You know, have a nice day. And it was just like, he was like, you could tell it was the house, you know, he wasn't like, you know, whatever, man. He was like, hey, thank you so much. You know, he was a rookie.
Okay,
Yeah, but he was
yeah,
excited.
you can tell when players um, don't like interacting with fans.
Yeah, got the diva mentality. They were just like, yeah, yeah, because I met Bodine that same year.
Oh, Russell Bodine.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got rid of him too. But yeah, I think they said that he wants like 10 million a year. I think is what I was reading. Her report came out that Denard wanted 10 million a year. Um,
Not good. I mean, he is ranked sixth on top of for the top free agents available.
well, that's what I don't know if we can bring him back and keep
Mm-mm.
Dre at the same time. So that's so I guess we have a decision to make. It looks like we've probably already made that decision by not re-signing him and signing BW Webb.
Yeah.
Um,
BW Webb is like a nickel slot specialist.
yeah, that's what I mean. He's only spent 1 year with each team he's been with, but they've all been pretty good seasons, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken. So that's good. And then what else? What else? Speaking of free agency, we've had Danny Shelton come in for a visit. I believe Vinny Curry is actually visiting today, or already had his visit. I haven't checked since we started this, but
Well, like you asked earlier, are we going to play a 3-4 or a 4-3?
I think that see. I haven't got definitive because it's like you said that Zach Taylor. I haven't heard a lot of these guys talk, like Zach and
Mm-hmm.
Lou. They've done a couple interviews, but they really haven't got into specifics about what they're going to do. And I think that's probably a strategic thing. They don't want to tip their hand. They probably want to keep it as secret as long as they can. That way, teams don't have as much time to prepare for. Like they probably don't want anybody to know about anything until the first preseason game.
Well, Danny Shelton is a 4-3 tackle, right?
Correct. Well, he probably could play nose in a 3-4, just because he's a big, massive guy.
Vinny
I'm kind.
Curry. Vinny Curry's a 3-4 linebacker, I thought.
Well, he's a 4-3 end,
Oh yeah, see, we don't need ends though,
and see
man.
that's the thing is
I like Sam Hubbard. I
oh
like
yeah.
Sam Hubbard. I'll be honest with you, man. And I'm a Buckeye through and through. But at the same time, Sam Hubbard, ooh, he's got picks, tips, sacks. Like the guy is just when they put him in, he produced every
Oh,
time.
for sure. And then there at the beginning of the season, he didn't get hardly any playing time, but when he was in, you knew he was in. He was
Mhm.
always making plays. Um, yeah, he's definitely one of the few guys, or not few, just one of the guys I'm most excited about seeing play this upcoming season. I think he's going to have a really big breakout year, hopefully. Um,
Him and
hope.
then Dunlap on the other are bookends. You know what I mean?
hmm
It,
And then we have oh man, Carl Lawson.
Carl
Um,
Lawson. We got Willis.
yeah, I mean we got a lot of young talent. Hopefully we can just keep developing them. Vinny Curry would be an okay. I do think our main problems on our team, in my opinion, were offensive line, defensive line, even though that might sound crazy, and linebacker. Linebacker being probably the most glaring need because I don't know if you. I seen a stat a while back, like right when the season was over, that we had the worst cover linebackers in history of the NFL. Like we gave up a
Jesus.
record amount of yardage through the air. I mean, well, look at who we had playing. Hardy Nickerson, Nick Vigil's your best linebacker. I don't care if people like him or not. I mean, you got a problem.
I like Vigil, but yeah, but you're absolutely correct. If he's your leading tackler, you're like something's got to change.
You got a problem. And then so yeah, we need to address. That's why I wouldn't, like you said, I wouldn't be upset if we did a Brian Simmons to KO Spikes rerun. And even though that was 2 first-round picks, I think they were within like what 2 or 3 picks of each other. But I hope that I wouldn't be mad if we drafted a linebacker in the first 2 rounds.
I wouldn't be mad.
We need speed. That's one thing. We need speed. Somebody that can cover halfbacks and tight ends. We don't have linebackers that can do that. And Preston Brown, he can't do that. He's not going to be one of our nickel linebackers. We have to address this situation, or we're going to be in the same boat that we were in last year.
Oh yeah, imagine if you put Preston Brown next to like Devin Bush, and then you get like Nick Vigil, Bush, and Brown. That's not
Oh,
bad, but it's not there yet. You know what I mean?
well, that's why Devin White, Devin Bush.
Devin White. Oh my God! Please.
We would, and that right there takes care of your linebacking unit for the next 4, 5 years, and then you have one of the best. You turn your weakest position into a position of strength, and then it looks like we really probably done all that we're going to do on the offensive line. Um, I I don't know if I can't see us going out and spending money. I don't even know who would be out there that would be an upgrade at this point on the offensive line.
Well, you got fantasy like wishes. Like I got fantasy wishes. Like Dominican Sue. I like to put him next to Gino.
Oh, for sure. Oh, that's why I think that if we do something in free agency, I hope that we sign a defensive lineman. I wouldn't mind a Ndamukong Suh. I wouldn't mind a Danny Shelton.
No.
Because I think that's one of the biggest weaknesses is finding a running mate to Gino. I think that's been the biggest problem since I can remember. Since Petco started falling off, I just don't think that Gino's had a good running mate inside.
I agree 100%.
We got Billings, but he's got a lot of hype. People have hyped him up a lot, but he really hasn't performed up to what we thought he was going to be. And then we have Glasgow, who showed a lot of promise his rookie season, but he was hurt most of last year. Who else do we have? Josh Tupou. I forget how to pronounce his name, but
I know you're talking about
the big Samoan guy.
Right.
He actually showed. I was impressed with him. But yeah, I think that if we went out and signed a free agent, I wouldn't be upset if it was on the defensive line.
No. I'm telling you, man, I've waited years and years and years for free agency frenzy comes on. You're like, all right, let's do this. It's on, and everyone's doing something except for us.
You fall into the trap.
Every
free
time.
Agency trap.
Every time.
I don't do it as much as I used to. Like this year, I really had, I guess maybe for like the first couple hours of free agency, I was like, oh man, hopefully we're going to sign somebody. But then I'm like, wait, we didn't change owners. We didn't get a new GM. Like, I think it's business as usual. Like, we're going to sign a couple mid-level guys, and build through the draft, sign our own. But I wouldn't be mad about it. I would, man, you know how ecstatic I would be if we signed an Ndamukong Suh?
Oh, yeah. Even a 1 year, 13, 14 million.
Well, I'd be down. Well, what are we going to do? What are we going to do now that we release Bjerfik? I think I read that saves us about 6 to 7 million in cap space.
Right.
What do you think we're going to do because we have money. We have money.
Well, if history repeats, we're not going to do anything. And or we'll have guys use us for leverage, which is done through since I've been a Bengals fan. Players like, I remember Warren Sapp did that. He came in for a visit and then signed with Oakland.
Yep, I remember that. He played us out for sure.
People are usually using it like, look, this team's not very good. They're willing to pay me a lot of money. And then, a team like Oakland's like, well, we'll pay you, and we're pretty good. Like, oh, well, shit, let's do that.
Which ended up probably working out in the long run, to be honest, just because I don't think he had like a productive year or two in Oakland.
He would have sold some jerseys, you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Well, and it just throw us a bone. Throw the fans a bone. Like we've never signed it. Even like it seems like every team, even at some point in time, no matter how bad they are, go out and sign one big name player at some point in time. I don't think that we've ever. I don't remember us ever signing anybody.
No, well, last year, I remember during the trade deadline, Patrick Peterson from the Cardinals was on the block. I was like, why don't we pick up Patrick Peterson? All these players that are on teams, like Jarvis Landry, OBJ, all came through trades. And we don't want to pull the trigger on anything because they know we'll have to pay them eventually, or we're just giving up, picks for nothing.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, I do get the strategy. Their strategy works good if you hit on draft picks.
Right.
We haven't been that. I mean, I guess it's been a mixed bag here recently with our drafts. But I guess we'll see how it works out. Let's see here. Speaking of free agency, we're talking about all this stuff. Let's go around the AFC North.
All right.
There's been a lot of movement.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of movement. Teams are gonna look a lot different next year.
I wouldn't be surprised if, and I hate to go against my own team, but if like Cleveland and Baltimore are on the top of the division, because Baltimore, they got Mark Ingram, Earl Thomas.
Well, here I'm gonna cut you off real quick. I'm gonna just read through these and then let me know what you think. Just so everybody that's listening, I'm sure they already know. But so let's see the Browns. The major moves they've made, they've gotten rid of Jabril Peppers. They traded him. I believe he was involved in that OBJ trade. They got rid of Zeitler, former Bengal.
For Olivier Vernon.
They released Jamie Collins. And then they've added OBJ, which is Odell Beckham, Kareem Hunt, Sheldon Richardson, and Olivier Vernon. The Steelers, their big losses were obviously Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. Maybe one that might fly under the radar as being more impactful than we think. Jesse James.
It's
He had a
Detroit.
he had a pretty productive season. Yeah, he signed with Detroit, and then they added Mark Barron, which I'm not too that. I
Whatever.
don't even have a thought on that. It's whatever exactly. And then the Ravens, they lost Suggs, which is that's probably going to be the craziest thing to me is playing the Ravens without T Sizzle. That sucks. There's something about Baltimore and a couple of the players that they've had. Um, he's one of them. It's hard for me to like other teams' players, especially within the AFC North, but
No.
I love Terrell Suggs. Um, he's just a beast. There's no other way you can classify it. He is just a beast.
Did you ever see him on the HBO show Ballers?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. He got into a fight with The Rock.
Yeah, actually, I haven't seen the newest season. I have the newest season. That I think it's over already. Probably. I have it on DVR. I just haven't had time to watch the newest season yet. Is he in the newest one?
I don't know. I haven't watched the last 2 seasons because I haven't had HBO.
Okay. So yeah, it's a good show. And he's probably one of the ugliest players in the NFL too. No
Oh, yeah.
disrespect, Terrell Suggs.
No,
Scare the shit out of me.
You know, man, get him. Terrell, if you're watching this, don't let him talk to you like that.
Yeah, we'll get him on the podcast. We'll have to get him on, right?
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's going to be so weird not seeing him. They also got rid of C.J. Mosley, Eric Weddle, and they added Mark Ingram, like you said, and Earl Thomas. What do you think? Do you think they lost overall? Do you think they're a better team now with the additions and subtractions, or do you think they're worse off?
I think with a couple right moves in the draft to replace the holes, I think they can be better than they were. I think Earl Thomas and Mark Ingram. That's like Mark Ingram, especially. People sleep on him. He's really, really good.
I mean, he gave us problems last year.
Yeah, and if Alvin Kamara didn't exist, he'd still be a Saint. So,
Oh yeah.
but
Well,
Earl Thomas, if he can come back to his, a couple years ago playing the way he was, before he got hurt and fell out with Seattle, Earl Thomas is a beast.
well, doesn't it just piss you off that it seems like the Ravens always have like a top 5 safety lurking back there?
Oh yeah, all the way back to Ed Reed.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just it's going to be a different area. I don't think that their defense is going to. Well, see, that's the thing is Earl Thomas is one of those players. He's a generational player, so maybe he'll make up for the loss of because I think it's going to be hard to replace a Mosley. He's really good.
Yeah,
he's a 3-down player, which is rare.
Well, you guys think Terrell Suggs was an emotional leader of that defense.
That's another thing, and yeah, that's another thing that's really overlooked is that he was going to be in someone's ass if they weren't getting the job done, and just having it like the intimidation factor. You just have to worry about him at all times. You have to worry about where is T Sizzle at on the field when we have the ball.
Right.
Where is Terrell Suggs at? And I think it's just going to be a whole different. I don't think the Ravens. I'm not sure that I like the direction that they're going in. I could be 100% wrong about this. I think they'll be a competitive team next year. I just don't. I'm not sure. Mainly because of Lamar Jackson. I don't know if that offense can be sustainable over a long period of time.
Well, Lamar Jackson is either going to be, he's going to hit the sophomore slump or he's going to just take off. Like, the guy is freaking full of talent. Coming out of the draft from Louisville, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, man, that guy is so amazing. And he went the last pick in the first round to the Ravens. I said, oh, shit. We're in trouble for at least 6-7 years.
Well, do you think that he can succeed as an NFL quarterback? Like, do you think that he can? Because obviously he can run.
He already has. I mean, he was throwing passes to Crabtree like he's been there a while.
Well, give me 1 second. I'm actually going to pull something up because I'm actually very interested in this.
Okay.
I apologize, everybody. This is just something that I'm interested in seeing. Um, I want to look up his stats last year. I want to see how many times he passed per game.
Probably about 16. That's my guess. See how close I am.
Let's see here. Ah. Just because it seemed like I said, he can game logs. There we go. Okay. So let's see. He averaged, I can't give you an exact, but he was throwing the ball approximately 20 to 25 times a game.
Really?
But he was only completing, the most completions he had in a game was 14.
Okay, I was close.
Most attempts he had in a game was 25. So, I mean, he's about a high 50% passer, which I think in the NFL to be a consistently successful quarterback, I think actually in today's NFL, I think you have to be 60 to 65%. And he can definitely do that. They possibly could have been just being like overly conservative with him.
Yeah.
Because he didn't run a complicated offense in Louisville, and they're trying to give him time to learn, which that could be the case. Same thing that the Steelers did with Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, they protected him his first couple seasons, and I'm sure you probably feel the same way. When Ben Roethlisberger first came into the league, I never could have imagined that he was going to be the type of quarterback that he is today.
No. And I mean, even though didn't they go to the Super Bowl like his first year?
It was either his first or second.
Yeah, something crazy.
I think it might have been his first because I think he was like 15 or they won a lot of games his rookie season for sure, but he didn't really do anything. He only threw like what 20 same type of stats as Lamar Jackson, 20-25 passes a game.
Right.
Well,
I think they still had Jerome Bettis,
Fast Willie Parker.
Yeah, they had what's that what was the leading receiver for the Steelers back then?
Hines Ward.
They still had all those core people together. James Harrison was in his prime.
Well, they were able to play really good defense and run the ball, and only put him in positions to succeed. And I think that's one of the main things that can either make or break a quarterback. Really, is his confidence. I think protecting a quarterback like that and putting them in positions to where they only have to make plays, and they put him in successful, I guess, in the most optimum situation to make positive plays. It's a lot easier to drop back and run a play action pass when they don't actually know that you're throwing it than it is if you're dropping back 50 times a game and they know that you're not going to throw. Being a young quarterback, that is.
Right.
They protected him, but I don't know. I'm not sure that he can. Back to Lamar Jackson, I'm not sure that he can be as successful in an NFL quarterback.
I hope not.
I mean, I could be 100% wrong. I 100% hope not. I didn't see it. Like I said, he can run around. He's just too small, and I think just the way he ran so much last year, it's not even the fact that because they weren't protecting him. I guess they were kind of by running really conservative, like a run-heavy offense, but he was doing a lot of the running.
Well, you have a lot of pass options, run pass options with Mark Ingram in there, and I don't know what they're going to do at receiver. They cut Crabtree, didn't they?
Did they? They could have. I'm not sure. That's news. But yeah, if they got rid of Crabtree, I know they have John Brown. He was a nice little pickup. But yeah, and they got a nice little set of tight ends. They got a couple nice young tight ends over there. Yeah, I don't know if given like a whole season for teams to prepare for that style of offense. Again, if they try to come out and do the same thing, I'm not sure that even with Mark Ingram, like I said, Mark Ingram is good and he definitely can wear, but I just don't know because that offense was very, very predictable.
Yeah, well, they're giving him enough rope to, like I said, to hang himself because they're giving him all the talent around him, and said, "All right, now go win some games." Now, if they do or don't, they're still going to be at the top of closer to the top of the division with Pittsburgh falling off. The Cleveland's still not going to win.
Well, let's talk about the Browns last, so we can shit all over them
Oh
and
yeah.
hurt Browns fans' feelings all across the world. What do you think the Steelers? What do you think about their offseason?
Ah, crap. They're not really. They lost. They lost too much. Like the Ravens had a couple of years. We'll go back to the Ravens real quick. When they lost Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, then they transitioned back into a different team. John Connor for Pittsburgh is not Le'Veon Bell.
Well, how many years in a row did the Ravens miss the playoffs? Didn't they miss the playoffs for like 3, 4 years in a row?
Yeah.
And I think, I think with Pittsburgh, it's either going to be addition by subtraction, or they may be in the cellar for a while,
Right.
because Antonio Brown. Let's be real, best receiver in the NFL.
Now you just got double Schuster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and even though they didn't have Le'Veon, I think their whole offense is going to be completely different, because when they had Le'Veon and when they had AB, you had to know where they were at. It was like, and Juju was the third option. He was always the third option.
Right.
Can he handle being the number one?
To be determined. You know what I mean? I think that he can. His workload says that he can. I mean, he had 1,000 yards.
And I guess the question would be, were Le'Veon, and I'm not so sure as much about Le'Veon, but was Antonio Brown such a distraction to the team that maybe they're better without him? Is that a possibility?
I think Ben's the distraction.
You think Ben's the distraction?
He's the one going on, podcasts and radio shows calling them all kids. You know what I mean? He's like, I got 52 kids behind me. You got grown ass men. You know what I mean? So, and then every time Ben, it's like he don't have the balls to say it to their face. He always criticizes his own team a lot. And I think that could be disastrous when your leader is just criticizing everybody. He just said 52 kids. So every player on that team is just a kid to him.
And I can see that. I don't like how he does go into the media a lot and spreads his message, or it seems like he wants to get his message out through the media. But that's not to say that he doesn't actually address the issues in the locker room as well.
Right.
Because if you hear about, or if you remember right, I think at the end of last year's, I think this has been going on for a while, actually. I think the Antonio Brown, Ben Roethlisberger saga has been going on for a lot longer than we all know. I think they've been holding it under wraps for a while, and they've been able to keep it in house. And I think it's probably just gotten so toxic that they couldn't keep it in house anymore. What they say at the end of last year, I think they said they were doing some reps on the practice field. I think Antonio Brown, I can't remember exactly what it was, but he ran a sloppy route. He didn't do what he was supposed to do, ran a sloppy route, something like that. And Ben Roethlisberger said, "Let's run it back." And I think Antonio Brown got smart with him. Ben said, "Let's get a new guy in there then, like get a new guy in there." And I don't know. It just, I'm not sure whose fault it is. I don't know. I was just asking if you thought it could possibly be an addition by subtraction. I guess the only way to really tell is, I guess we'll find out this year.
Well, like you said, to be determined. It's hard because they still got a lot of pieces. They got Vance McDonald at tight end. People say, "Oh, they lost Jesse James." Well, they got Vance McDonald, who was stiff arming people's heads off.
Yeah, yeah, he got us. He got us one game. I think he actually got a couple people last year with that stiff arm. But it's just hard to imagine that they're going to be as good without Le'Veon. I mean, like I said, they didn't have Le'Veon Bell last year, but it's just hard to imagine that they're going to be nearly as good without.
They weren't in the playoffs either.
Yeah. Well, and they had Antonio. So, yeah, I mean, and Ben's getting another year older. And I believe they lost their right tackle. Was it Foster? I don't mark my words, but I'm pretty sure they lost one of their starting offensive linemen too. So, they're going to have one of the most dynamic offenses to be determined.
Yeah.
And should Mike Tomlin is he a good coach?
Mike Tomlin's a scumbag. I don't like him. But he gets it done. You know what I mean? He doesn't accept, all this whining. He He's a good coach. I just don't like him because he's a Pittsburgh coach.
Yeah, agree. Well, and I mean the whole fiasco with the Ravens, the sideline gate.
Oh
When he
yeah,
stuck his foot out.
yeah.
I mean, he obviously did that on purpose. And there's just, I mean, I
That was hilarious.
it's just hard to like the coach of the Steelers no matter what.
It's hard to cheer on somebody who's on the team you hate, and he looks like Omar Epps.
Yeah, but that's probably the most interesting thing that I'm looking forward to this offseason. Even the team that we're about to talk about, even after all those moves, I think the team I'm most excited to see, or not excited because I really don't give one single shit about the Steelers. I'm interested to see how that offense is going to work out. I think their defense is done. I'm not ever worried about their defense. That's why I just I just think maybe this is it for them.
Well, they missed the playoffs with the team they had, basically, without Le'Veon. And they're going to miss the playoffs again.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. And I think losing Shazier, I think
I was at that game.
Now looking back in hindsight, I think that he may have been a lot better than what I gave him credit for.
He was an emotional leader too.
I think he was one of the best linebackers in the NFL.
Yeah.
Because their defense hasn't been the same since his injury, and I wish him all the best in his recovery. I know it's been like 2 years, but for what it's worth, I hope that he never suits up again. I hope that he recovers fully, though. I just hope that he's never able to play football again.
I hope he comes back and plays for Denver.
Denver, yeah. I mean, well, as long as it's not the Steelers, like
as long as it's not our division.
Exactly.
The guy is a beast. But I hope he makes a full recovery, not only for football but for his family. For his kids as a father.
For sure. That's what I'm saying. I hope he recovers fully. It's just not with the Steelers. I just hope that doesn't work out.
TJ Watt's a bright spot in Pittsburgh. But he's getting frustrated. He's went on interviews and said, "Oh, it's a circus here. He's not really happy, but he's a hell of a player."
Well, I'm not. I'm torn on him. I'm not sure if he's good or not. Because the first game we played against them, Bobby Hart locked him up, if I'm not mistaken.
Bobby Hart?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, right?
Lock someone up?
Well, like I said, I don't think he's as bad as what everybody says. Yeah, if you remember right, I'm pretty sure Bobby Hart was running off the field saying that TJ Watt sucks, didn't he? I think that's what I'm pretty sure he was running off the field saying that TJ Watt sucks.
I know JJ Watt said Andy Dalton was the instead of being a red rifle was a BB gun.
Yeah, the red BB.
The red BB gun.
And I'm not a big fan. He's a stud. I can't deny it, but I don't like JJ Watt either.
Yeah.
So I could be biased ever since that statement.
Not you.
But all right. So let's move to the last team in the North, the one that everybody's talking about, not just Browns fans, but just everybody. What do you think? What do you think of their offseason?
I think it's overhyped. I think you got too many personalities. You got talent, and it's how you use that talent. You can. Look at go to basketball. You look at the Warriors. They have 5 All-Stars starting on their team. The Browns have, All-Stars. They've made trades in the past for big people. Like Jamie Collins, they just got rid of him. He was a big deal when they got him from the Patriots for a first-round pick. So OBJ, they got to win first. Everyone was like, "Oh, they got Odell Beckham and Baker Mayfield had a good rookie season, and Jarvis Landry's a stud, and Ojoku, can catch." And it's like, okay, minus OBJ, they had the same team last year, and they looked better, but they're not a Super Bowl team. I'm watching these shows, NFL, Good Morning Football, and they're like, "Oh, the Browns are going to be contenders for Super Bowl." What Super Bowl are they going to play in? Not the NFL Super Bowl, because they're not going to make it there.
Well, that's my thing. Like you said, you got to win a game. Yeah. They won some games last year, which is a big improvement over the year before when they won 0. right?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about a team, and this is I'm probably about to go on a rant here, so I apologize.
Please, please.
But this fight, like I get so fired up about this. Like you have Browns fans. So okay, so uh, one winning season in 16 years. Okay, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about a team that has they've won one game against a winning team in the last 4 years. 4 years. Okay, not season. 4 years. They've won one game against a team worth a damn.
Chargers.
No, it was the Ravens.
Oh, okay. I'm saying because it was at the year before last when they won one game.
Well, you can actually, and there's some Browns fans will argue this with me, is because at the time they've won a couple games, the teams that they played were winning, but at the end of the seasons, but from my research, at the end of the year, the only games that they've beat a winning team was the Ravens.
Yeah.
And I could have, maybe I did overlook a team. If I did, I'm sorry. But from the research that I did, just because as you know, the day that they traded for Odell Beckham Jr., my social media was flooded with Browns fans. I mean, I got Browns fans that were just Patriots fans, and somehow they're Browns fans
Right.
posting stuff on social media. And that's what gets me so fired up. Is come on, where were you guys at? Literally, I got to give credit to the loyal Browns fans who've been there through thick and thin. But even you guys that have been loyal through thick and thin, win something first. Win
Absolutely.
something. How can you tell me you haven't even been to the playoffs in like 12 years? 12 years. I think it's been right. Is it
Right.
they're on their like what 11th or 12th straight losing season, right?
Right.
And we're talking about the Super Bowl. How is that in? What do we? Come on, man. Come on.
No, I'm with you, man. Like I said, overhyped. That's why our first response was they're overhyped because they're loaded with talent. But if you can't do shit, you know what I mean.
Well,
If you give a gluttonous, $1 million, he's going to mess it up and become a homeless bum again.
well, also, who was the last All-Star team? The Dream Team.
Ooh.
The Eagles. Remember when they were the Dream Team? It never works the way that you think it's going to work. Whoever the team is that they say is going to win the Super Bowl, never wins the Super Bowl.
Mm.
The team that they say and it's the team that tries to go out and buy a championship never wins. And my personal opinion is if the Browns there's a possibility that they'll do good. There's a possibility, and I think if they do have any sort of success, it's going to be very short lived, and it's going to be early. I think that after this year, if they don't have any success this year, then that's it. Because we've all worked jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We've all been around bad employees or bad co-workers. And I think that Odell Beckham Jr. and I think Jarvis Landry are head cases. Jarvis Landry not being as big as a head case as Odell Beckham, but when you get them together,
Right.
I just think that wears on people. Like, what are they going to do the first time that Odell Beckham doesn't get a catch in the first half? He throws a tantrum and he goes and fights a kicking net. What
Right.
Baker's he's a pretty cocky guy, or I don't know the word that I'm looking for, but he's pretty confident too, right?
Right.
What is he going to do when he gets in his face and starts screaming at him to throw the ball on the sideline? What's going to happen? Those are some pretty big personalities.
Yeah. There's a lot of money you're paying all those personalities, and then you got Kareem Hunt, who'll come in on the end because he's suspended for the first 8 games. He'll come in at the end of the season. Nick Chubb, or is that Bradley Chubb? The running back Chubb.
Nick Chubb. Bradley's with the Broncos.
Okay, yeah, Nick Chubb is a beast. Now you're gonna have a 2-headed beast when Hunt comes back. If you're not 8-0 by the time Hunt gets back, your whole season's a failure.
Oh yeah, well, dude, I just like I said, there's a possibility that they get hot and they go on a tear. And if they do, I'll give them credit. I swear on it. I'll give them credit. I might not tell that to my Browns fans friends, but they just got to do something first.
Think about when the Giants had Odell Beckham. When they first drafted him, they had Victor Cruz, and I believe like a couple of years later they traded for Brandon Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, they brought in Brandon. They brought in Brandon Marshall. I think was it not the year before last?
and nobody can work with the guy. And they say, "Oh,
Yeah.
this is different because he's playing with his best friend." Man, it don't mean shit.
Well, what have the Giants done since what was it? I forget the name of it, but was it Partygate when they went out on that boat
Oh
and they were
yeah,
partying? They haven't done it. I don't think the Giants just had OBJ. They've had him his whole career. What
yeah.
success? What success have the Giants had?
And you've had Eli Manning thrown to him. Eli
Exactly.
Manning's a Hall of Famer, I believe.
Two-time Super Bowl champion. Since everybody wants to overlook it. Eli Manning is a two-time Super Bowl champion.
Super Bowl MVP.
Baker Mayfield hasn't won anything.
He's a second-year player who had a couple good games and a big couple good wins to a team that never wins.
And what I think, I don't know. I just think that they might even have caught lightning in the bottle last year. The Browns, like we'll see. Like I guess we'll see. We'll see how good they are. That's really the only way to do it, right? You got to
Right.
go out there and play the games. And if they do some damage, I'll actually feel good for the Browns fans.
I'd rather see the Browns have success than see Pittsburgh or Baltimore have success, to be honest, because I'm a Ohio guy.
For sure. I won't ever say that to my friends that are Browns fans, but yeah, I know what they've been through. Like to the fans that are actually loyal and the fans that actually have like been fans throughout the whole time
Right.
since they've came back. That's hard. That's hard being like we haven't really had that problem here lately, but even these last couple years it's been rough as shit. Being a Bengals fan, I can only imagine how bad it is knowing before the season even starts that there's no point. There's no point to this season except looking forward to the next season.
I think there's still players available. There's still moves to be made. The Browns can, you know what? I like being under the radar and then kind of just go out there and just kicking ass. You know what I mean? So the Browns can have all the hype they want, but they're still the worst team in football. Until they win and prove that they can win with who they have, they're the worst team in football.
Exactly. I agree. I agree 100%. And like I said, I'll argue with anybody all day about that. You have to win something first, and then when you get into the playoffs, even if they make the playoffs, because isn't that the big thing? Isn't that what everybody says? It doesn't matter, or at least that's what I always hear. I always hear being a Bengals fan. It doesn't matter how good of a season you had. You got to do something in the playoffs, right?
Right.
And what if they get there? And that's as you should know, that's a whole different level of football.
Yeah.
Playoff football and regular season football is a whole different level, and I don't think anybody on the Browns has even been to the playoffs. They don't have a lot of playoff experience. The coach doesn't have any playoff experience. So that'll even if they do have a successful season once they get to the next level, can they do anything?
To be determined, man.
When the shit hits the fan, what's Odell Beckham gonna do? That's what I'm interested to see.
He's gonna run into the fan, and then he's gonna ask the fan to marry him.
And then what about the contract? When does he ask for a new contract?
He still has 5 or 6 years left.
That's what I'm saying. He did that with the Giants, right? He still had a couple years left. Wasn't he demanding a new contract? So, or I don't know. We'll see.
At the end of the day, you can't afford to dump $50 million into 2 players. So the receiving core is only going to be together for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's impossible until big. That's what all these teams are trying to do, and it's good if you can catch lightning in the bottle. If you can get a good rookie quarterback, and you can have any sort of success while they're on that rookie deal, you can stack your roster while the quarterback's on that rookie deal.
Right.
And then once that rookie deal's over, this is just like what the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to be in a lot of trouble here in like another year. A lot of these teams that have really good rosters because the quarterback's on a rookie deal.
It's so hard to get in football in general because there's less games. Every game is so important. When you get somebody like Nick Foles, who is the Super Bowl MVP, he had a couple great games. He stacked them up right next to each other. won a Super Bowl, and now he's got $100 million contract basically. You know what I mean? Is with the Jacksonville, and when he played during the regular season, he wasn't that good.
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, he did have that. See, he's one of them like players too that you don't really. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to give him credit because he went head to head with Tom Brady, right?
True.
And he came out on top.
Right.
Not too many people do that, right?
Unfortunately, not.
But there's the thing is he had that real good season with Chip, where he threw what I think it was like 28 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. It was some crazy
Yeah.
good season. And then he went somewhere else, didn't have any. I think he went to Kansas City maybe, didn't have success. Came back to Philly, didn't have success during the season when Carson got hurt, and then when the playoffs started, he really heated up. Kind of the same thing this past year. He kind of started off slow again, and then he heated up.
Well, that's what Browns fans are going to learn, that if you do make it to the playoffs, even if you play against a team where you stack up well against, if you don't raise your play in the playoffs, you're just going to lose. You know what I mean? Every time.
Well, it seems like they let you play defense in the playoffs.
I'm like, yeah.
And just the intensity. It's just a completely different. Well, I mean, anybody who watches know what we're talking about. It's just a whole different atmosphere, a whole different speed, intensity. So that's, and getting there is even hard enough. So we don't even know if they're going to get there. They could come out and they could have another 3-13 season, and I wouldn't be surprised. It's just like the Jaguars. The Jaguars weren't they supposed to be Super Bowl contenders this past year? Everybody was telling us like, oh man, look what they did in the offseason after they just they just gave the Patriots all they could handle.
Right.
One game away from making it to the Super Bowl, and they actually made the playoffs. The Browns went 7-8-1. So the Jaguars actually made the playoffs and were one game away from the Super Bowl. And we gave them all this hype. I was on that hype train, which just goes to show how players with big egos, because was Jalen Ramsey responsible for their downfall?
That's a tough one because he's like a defensive OBJ.
Yeah, I mean, and he was criticizing the quarterback at one point in time. I believe he was criticizing Blake Bortles.
Oh, yeah. He went through a whole list of the NFL, all 32 teams, and was like, oh, Eli Manning's garbage. Even his own quarterback, he's like trash.
Exactly. So when you have somebody like that, and that's what some people don't understand, and that's that sometimes it sucks working with somebody you don't like.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you like, everybody has a different personality. Like if I have to, like me personally, like if I have to go to work with somebody and that's what football is. Whether we want to, it's a job.
Right.
They're there every day, practicing 8-10 hours a day. They're in the facility, and if you have to be there with somebody that you don't like, who is a constant distraction, that does matter. Whether people want to say it or not, that does matter. I promise you.
Oh yeah, like you ever worked at a call center? You're like, oh shit, here comes Dan again.
Exactly. Exactly. And then your mood's brought down, your energy level's brought down, and you might even be pissed off. Them talking or them saying the shit that they say, like it could even make you mad. It could even ruin, like, you know what I mean? People don't understand that. Like people with personalities like that. I'm not saying that's the case. Odell Beckham, he could go to Cleveland. He could be a great teammate, and they could win multiple Super Bowls. Who knows? But at the end of the day, to say that type of personality can't weigh on teammates and whatnot is also crazy to say. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. This is one of the most, well, every year nobody really knows what's going to happen, right? We all say that we know, but this year the AFC North really is wide open.
Yeah, and there's still time, and there's still players out there available. And the draft hasn't happened yet. Who know, all mayhem can happen in the draft.
Exactly. Well, and I just want to give some encouragement to Bengals fans that are panicking. It's not as bad as what it seems. I hope.
Not at all.
It's an unknown right now because we have a new coach. We have all new coaching staff. Whatever. But at the end of the day, just before last year started, what was everybody saying? We have one of the most talented rosters in the NFL.
Right.
In my opinion, I believe that we still have one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. We've been ravaged by injuries. Well, last year, before all these injuries hit us, what did we start off last year? Like 5-2? Was it 5-2?
Something like that.
We started off really hot, right? Offense was looking really good. Offense was clicking. Andy Dalton was on fire. Eifert was making an impact. AJ Green was looking good.
Yeah,
Tyler,
we beat the Falcons,
yeah,
and we beat them. And the Falcons, they said all Falcons are going to destroy them.
we beat the Colts.
Beat the Colts. That
I
was like
mean,
game one. We beat
and
the
we
Colts.
well, we went in there and we shut. I mean, given Luck was coming off that long injury hiatus.
But he had a good season too. If we would have
Oh,
kept that momentum, we beat a lot of teams in the beginning who ended well.
well, and that's the whole thing is that I swear to God, that Pittsburgh game, I think, is what did us in. Losing that game and just the whole history with Pittsburgh, I think that was just the deflator. The deflator later, Gator. It was over. See you later after that game. But we still have a lot of talent. Main thing is in my opinion, we still have a lot of, like, our offense, whether we got there's not a lot of units, wide receiver units in the NFL that can compete with AJ Green, Tyler Boyd. You got Tyler Eifert, and I guess you can say John Ross is a first round pick. He hasn't really proven anything. But anyway, AJ Green, Tyler, that's some high quality. Those are some high quality receivers.
Yeah.
Tyler Eifert, when healthy, is one of the best tight ends in the league. Joe Mixon, we got a lot of talent.
Yeah.
So
basically, all the Bengals fans, anyone watching, stay encouraged. Don't believe the hype.
exactly, we still got to play the games. That's why we
Right.
that's why we actually have to play the games. Because we don't really know what's going to happen, obviously. And like I said, I think maybe, and who knows, what if Zach Taylor's the next Bill Belichick? We don't know. I mean, who knows? He could be great. He could, because as you may know, he's a younger guy, obviously. And whether we like to admit it or not, sometimes younger guys, I mean, players are obviously young. So sometimes maybe a younger coach might be able to come in and might be able to communicate, relate with the younger players a little bit better. Like I said, a new message. Who knows? Who knows what we're going to see? Like I said, I just don't think it's as bad as what Bengals fans think it is.
Nah, not yet. Not yet.
All right. Well, here's what I'm going to do before we wrap this up. I want your predictions. Who do you think is going to win the AFC North this upcoming season?
As of right now,
and this is gonna. I'm gonna ask.
This is going to change. Yeah,
I'm going to ask you every week. So
yeah, is it?
But as of right now, who do you have atop the AFC North?
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Yeah. What about you?
I want to say either us or the Steelers.
Really?
It's kind of a toss-up.
The Steelers missed the playoffs last year with talent.
I know, but they had a lot of, like I said, they had a lot of distractions with Le'Veon Bell. Like the whole first part of the season, I think the Steelers were maybe just waiting for Le'Veon to come back and save their season.
Yeah.
And that's all they were. And like I said, that might not have been a distraction at all. We don't know. But we'll see. And they're not done yet. They got a draft.
Right.
They are saving money by they shipped out Antonio Brown. They're not because Le'Veon Bell had that cap hold on their salary cap last year for I forget how much, maybe like $14 million. But him not being on there, I mean, so they I think they might have a little bit of salary cap relief, so they might be able to make another move or two. So who knows what they possibly could trade? Who knows what?
Yeah.
But I can't imagine that they're going to stay pat because as you know, Ben Roethlisberger is getting old, and I think they're going to obviously try to do whatever they can to get another Super Bowl before he retires.
Right on.
Because you can never guarantee a high. Who knows? After Ben leaves, they could have the worst. They could have a series of 10 bad quarterbacks in a row. They could have 20 years of terrible quarterback play. So
right.
Who knows?
Yeah, to be determined.
Exactly.
I mean, this is podcast one. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it escalates as the season goes on, and as the process. There's the process.
Not even just the season, because the NFL it's a new story every week.
Oh yeah.
Because there's there's going to be pro days. They had the combine. There's going to be pro days. There's still going to be movement in free agency. Obviously, I mean there's still a lot of players out there. Trades, and we can't wait right until the draft. We're gonna. Speaking of which, everybody, I don't know if Sean's on board, but I'm gonna do, and he's most likely on board. But I'm gonna do a draft night special where we're live during the draft. We'll actually be live, which I think will be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sounds good to me. I'm with it.
Alrighty, well, looks like you got some things going on over there. We might have even went too long. I don't even know how long we've been on. But I think it was a good first episode. Do you wanna give your game streaming a plug before we go?
Yeah, if anyone out there wants to check it out, Skinny Gaming. You can follow me, Skinny Sean. Yeah, that's it. I'm just the NatiCast, Skinny Gaming. I'm all over the place, man. I'm trying to be a legend here.
Hell yeah. Alrighty, well, that's about it. I just want to say, right now, we're on Facebook. Obviously, this is where you'll see this, but I am in the process of creating a YouTube channel to put all of our videos up. And I want to do this because I don't think that there's any Bengals podcasts really that are really that interesting, to be honest with you, that do consistent content. So I want to get a podcast out there like at least once a week. Would be cool with me.
Absolutely.
Any big events. So you guys stay tuned, like, share our video, and once I get the YouTube channel up, go there and like, subscribe. It'll help us out and help spread the word. Other than that, hoo day, baby.
Hoo day.